got a thing. I'm covered, I'm chosen, I walk like a queen. Let's go. I'm blessed, I'm strong, my faith on 10. Devil try to block, but I still win. I walk in the word, I stand on truth. God made a way, yeah, I'm living proof. I'm covered in grace, my steps are divine. No fear, no doubt, I stay in line. Favor on me, it's all in His hands. I trust in the Lord, I stick to the plan. Every battle I face, I already won. No need to stress, my fight is done. God is my rock, I stand on His name. Through all the trials, He stayed the same. I walk by faith, I don't need sight. Even in darkness, I see the light. Enemies talk, but I stay unbothered. I got the armor, my soul is covered. Chains been broken, I'm set so free. No turning back, my destiny. Kingdom living, I'm built for more. I praise Him high, I lift the score. I'm blessed, I'm strong, my faith on 10. Devil try to block, but I still win. I walk in the word, I stand on truth. God made a way, yeah, I'm living proof. I'm covered in grace, my steps are divine. No fear, no doubt, I stay in line. Favor on me, it's all in His hands. I trust in the Lord, I stick to the plan. I don't need luck, I got God's hand. He parting the seas, I walk through the land. No weapon formed, yeah, it won't stand. I keep my peace, I know who I am. I'm healed, I'm whole, my spirit is right. Stayed in the dark, but stepped in the light. Storms gon' come, but I won't fold. Heart on fire, my faith is gold. I speak His name, I break my chains, 'cause that's where I'll find a little room to breathe, leave it all behind. Give me room to breathe, I need some time to heal my heart, to clear my mind. Gonna love myself, yeah, I believe in the power of me. Just give me room to breathe.
Welcome. I am so thrilled that you guys have joined us today for another episode of the Room2Breathe Podcast. I am your host, Life Coach 614, and today we're going to dive deep into a personal and transformative topic, healing through heartbreak. Today we're going to talk about how prioritizing self-care can help you heal from your grief. Now, grief is a journey, not a destination, and it can feel like a heavy burden that weighs down on your heart, your mind, and your soul. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, the end of a relationship, or even the loss of a dream, it can take on many different forms, often without warning. And it's in these moments of deep sorrow that we must remember the importance of taking care of ourselves and prioritizing our needs. Now, today I am thrilled that we have been blessed to have a special guest joining us today. I want to introduce you guys to JusDemi. She is a holistic health coach and a double certified life and wellness coach, specializing in promoting self-love, healing, and personal growth. With a deep passion for guiding individuals towards holistic well-being, Demi empowers clients to set healthy boundaries, to cultivate self-care practices, and embrace transformative healing journeys. Currently, Demi is expanding her expertise by pursuing certifications in grief counseling and ministry, further enhancing her ability to support individuals through life's challenges with compassion and spiritual insight. Let's show her some love by adding green hearts to the chats and help me to welcome Demi today. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, thank you. That was beautiful. I love that.
She said, period. I'll take my flowers
Yes,
now.
I'll
Thank
take
you.
that. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today,
Thank you
sis.
for having me. Yes,
You're
absolutely.
welcome. Listen, I was so thrilled when, we came to this decision to collaborate on
Yes.
this topic.
Mhm.
I feel like any topic put in front of us, girl, we gonna eat it. But I feel
Yes.
like this one right here is gonna be it.
Yes.
I'm happy that we're able to come together and be a blessing for somebody else. You
Yes,
know.
absolutely.
Now, before we dive into this conversation, I really think that it's important to recognize that grief can feel incredibly isolating. It's almost like your own private storm that other people don't fully see. Um, Now,
Absolutely.
I know that you've had your own experience with grief.
Yes,
Can you share how you view grief and how it shows up for you personally?
absolutely. Um, I actually wanted to start off with a quote that I pretty much every other day was reading to assure myself that, everything was going to be okay because I just went through um, losing my husband in September. So, you know, we were married for 26 years. So, he was my whole adult life. And losing somebody that's that, near and close to you is kind of hard. So I had to take it step by step, day by day. But I want to, read this to everybody to remind them when you're going through it, you're not the only one. You're not the only one feeling it. There are people out there that can assist you. But it is grief is forever. It doesn't go away. It becomes a part of you, step for step, breath for breath. You'll never stop grieving because you'll never stop caring about that situation or that person. Um, that's just how it is. All you can do is just love that experience and love the world, emulate by living with daring and spirit and joy.
Mm,
Um, and I truly believe that it's really about just holding on to those times, where there was so much joy, and just
absolutely.
remembering those times and being able to push forward.
Absolutely. I really love that perspective. Um, grief as both a process and an energy that flows
Yes.
through us in so
Yes.
many unexpected ways, right?
Correct.
Um, I think it was Tyler Perry who had mentioned he was on Oprah one day, and
Hmm.
a young lady went to go ask a question, but
Yes.
immediately the grief of losing her mother came to her, and
Yes.
he stopped her and was just like, no, like grief is a living thing,
Hmm.
and it doesn't take breaks, it doesn't pause, and so when it shows up, you got to let it show up and
Yes.
experience it. um
Hmm.
and so it does flow in so many unexpected ways at times
Yeah.
when you was least expected.
Yes.
um and I feel like that leads us to self care, right? Something
Yes.
we all know is important, but when you're in the thick of grief, it literally feels impossible to prioritize yourself. Uh,
Impossible.
I think a lot of people struggle with this.
Hmm.
Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about the role self care plays in grief?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will say that I was fortunate to be on this journey of self-care prior to my husband passing. So I kind of, already knew some things that I needed to do and what makes me, you know, just feel better. Like when I'm having a rough day, when my cup is empty, the things that I need to do. So when everything had happened, I really sat with myself and said, I know what grief can do to people. I know that I can keep me stuck here or I can, try to deal with it and be able to move on. And knowing that, who I am and who, my husband was, I just knew that the only answer was to, you know, let's do some self-care. Let's do this, let's do that. So for me, what self-care looks like is, scheduling some time for myself each week, no matter how busy my schedule is. I
Right.
always have a day scheduled for myself. 24-hour period where, I may not be, talking on social media or answering the phone. And what am I doing that day? Whatever I want. So if that day I
Yes.
decide I want to go out to the spa, I'm going to go to the spa. If I want to sit on my couch and do nothing, I'm going to do it.
Right.
Whatever is going to make me feel better and rejuvenate myself so I can continue on. I'm definitely someone who does love the gym. The gym helps me a lot. So I do try to, fit the gym into my schedule as much as possible.
Hmm.
But just kind of doing those things, and it took a while. It wasn't, right away, but I knew that was the goal. So I kind of gave myself some time.
Hmm.
And I said, all right, we're going to grieve. We're going to grieve. We're going to feel it whenever it comes. It's just going to happen. But I'm going to be able to continue on.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you said, if I just want to sit on my couch, that's what I do, right? I
Yes.
am a firm believer in Netflix and heal. Like, I don't need
Yes.
to chill. I don't
Yes.
need nobody else. I
Right.
like Netflix and heal,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Absolutely.
And self-care isn't just about treating yourself, right?
Hmm.
It's truthfully about creating space for healing, for restoration,
Yes.
because grief honestly just brings about a lot of uncertainty, and
Hmm.
sometimes it leaves us feeling isolated.
Yeah.
Thinking about the loneliness that comes with the grief, right? How would you
Hmm.
encourage people to reach out for support during these times when they're feeling like they're a burden to somebody
Yeah.
else?
Yeah. Um, it is truly hard. There were nights, with even myself, I'm in my bed and tears are flowing, and I have the friends that say, "Oh, call me if you need me," whatever time. But you feel like you're burdening people. Like, oh my God, I don't want to disturb somebody. But no, if somebody says to you, "I am here for you,"
Yeah.
please contact me, please reach out to them. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, I did end up reaching out because I knew, like I said, I had already kind of set it in my brain that I was going to get over this, not get over this, but be able to not have the grief hold me into one space, to be
Right.
able to continue growing. So I did kind of have a lot of people around me, which I'm so thankful for, but
Mhm.
definitely remember to reach out. Remember to try to find a group, some support system, a therapist, a life coach, whatever it may be that you're comfortable with, even just a friend to talk to. Just something. You have to start somewhere.
Mhm.
Even, you can go to your doctor, your primary doctor, and tell them that you're struggling, and they'll get you set up. They'll give you a list of names of places that you can go, people you can speak to. But
Mhm.
there's so much help out there, but you do have to speak up, and you have to be able to speak up. And the pain is so overwhelming at times. And in those times, you just, you got to get through it and everything and just live through it. And
Yeah.
as soon as you're able to, pick up that phone and do what you have to do.
Yeah, that is so true.
Hmm.
Because I feel like oftentimes we bottle up our feelings because we
Yep.
don't want to impose on other people. But it's that connection with the right people that really is a key part to our healing process.
Yes.
Um, and that's also, I feel like, where we start to learn that grief doesn't follow a timeline, right?
No,
Like,
no,
everybody tries to make it
no.
seem like, they say, like, oh, it gets better with time, but
Mm-mm.
nobody knows how long that time is.
Right.
Nobody knows what that looks
Right.
like, right?
Exactly.
um and so that's when you start to recognize it kind of ebbs and flows, sometimes just
Yes.
hitting us out of nowhere.
Yes.
um for those of us who experience grief in waves, which I honestly say, anytime I am experiencing a loss, I pray for waves, right?
Yes.
Because I know that it's going to happen. So I can't do anything about the highs or the
Yeah.
lows, but I pray for that break in between, right?
Yes.
Because if it was always high tide, I would drown. You know, if it was
Absolutely.
always low tide, there'd be a drought. So it's
Hmm.
like I pray for those waves.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, for those of us who experience waves and grief, what advice would you give on how to prioritize your self care during those unpredictable moments when grief feels especially heavy?
So what I'm going to say to that is it's a lot of times, a lot of things that, growing up, we don't realize we tend to put a lot of people first, right? And we want to do things and help other people. And, we make promises to other people, and we got to hold that promise, because it's important to us to, be accountable and everything. But it really does start with yourself. So you need to start by holding yourself accountable. So if you say to yourself, I'm going to do self care, whatever day, whatever time, you don't want to break that promise to yourself. You have to set some boundaries in order for you to continue to grow. And they're not easy, but you have to start somewhere. So definitely, like I said, I make sure I have that one day a week. I set that boundary for myself, and I made a promise to myself that I really have to, give to myself first before I can give to anybody. So I try to, stick to that always, um, and also just having a good support system to remind you of these things as well.
Yes,
If you have good people around you and they're like, and you tell somebody, all right, my self-care day is on Thursday, please, you know, um, hold me accountable and remind me to go do something for myself. And and a lot of people will. And then at that point in time, you're going to continue to do it. It's not going to be easy. It might be an hour, that first time, or, 4 hours, whatever the case may be. But it's just the fact that you are putting yourself first, and you will build on that,
absolutely.
and you will grow stronger, and it will help you spiritually,
Absolutely.
mentally, physically, all in all areas.
Yeah, that's such a helpful insight. One of the things that I've always noticed when I am grieving
Hmm.
is there is always somebody waiting to tell me what to do, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I recognize that those are the people that could be my accountability partner.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
though I don't necessarily like them in the moment because they're
Right.
the ones reminding you to get up and go take a shower, or they're the ones forcing you to eat when you really don't want
Yes.
to, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
those make the best accountability partners at the end of the day because,
Yes.
like, they have a purpose. Like,
They have a
they're
role.
on a mission, and so
Yes.
you might as well use that to your advantage, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I think that being present with the emotions instead of trying to control them or ignore them is another big thing.
Hmm.
A lot of times we try to suppress how we feel,
Yes.
and one of my favorite quotes is, "You cannot heal what you cannot feel." Right? So I think that we have to actually spend time feeling it. If we need to cry, we need to cry. And of course, I mean, grief is not just the loss of a loved one, right? We
Correct.
grieve so many things, whether it's the loss of a friendship, a relationship, a job. Some of us are losing ourselves, right? When you go from being single or
Hmm.
not a parent, and then all of a sudden you become a parent, you start to grieve that single you because now you
Yeah.
got responsibilities,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I mean,
Absolutely.
there's so much grief, but it's like as soon as you hear the word grief, somebody wants to know who passed away,
Hmm.
who'd you lose, what happened. And
Right.
people don't respect the fact that we have to grieve, relationships and friendships and situations in our life as well. um, and grief also shows up differently in our bodies, and I don't
Yes.
think that people recognize that because they're so busy waiting to see how you act, but they can't see how you feel. They
Hmm.
can't understand why you keep having breakdowns or why you can't get out the bed or why you can't just let it go, right? That's a big thing that they tell you,
That's a
right?
big thing.
Just
Yes.
let it go. It's better for you. Like, but
Yes.
how?
Yes.
you know?
Yes. So many
Um,
different things they say, and
yeah,
you're just like, no.
yeah. And then like the explaining it, sometimes you can't even articulate how you feel, what you feel.
Yeah,
You just know you're
absolutely.
feeling it and you don't
Hmm.
want to, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so the stress and the tension that comes with grief can absolutely be overwhelming.
Yeah,
Um, so for anyone who's feeling that, what are some ways that, you know, um, you would recommend us, I guess, to maybe listen to our bodies and how to incorporate self care to ease those physical symptoms that come with grief?
absolutely. The first thing is paying attention to your body. You really have to know your body, and especially in this day and age. Um, you have to know when you're feeling off, and write it down. You can journal stuff. Um, but it's really about paying attention to your body. I don't feel well, and your stomach might be off. You might have a headache. You might have your shoulders might be tense. It could be very little things that happen to you when you're grieving. I can definitely attest to that. I had so much tension in my shoulders and everything, and I can even remember just feeling so angry one day, and my children, they took me out to lunch, and I had ordered steak, and I like my steak medium, so
Mhm.
they brought it out well done, and I literally lost my mind. Like,
Oh my gosh. Poor waiter standing there like, what do I do?
right, right. Like, I'm like looking up what a medium steak looks like, and like, you got to take this back to the chef. Like, literally lost my mind,
Oh my
but
gosh.
that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It happens. You know what I mean? We all go through things, and we just kind of got to go and deal with it that way. But really, just paying attention to some of the physical things that are going on in your body and knowing
Mhm.
yourself.
Right.
And that's where all that self care comes in. So if you start to do a self care routine, and you're kind of sticking to it, you know what makes you feel good, what doesn't make you feel good, and then you'll
Absolutely.
notice those things, and be able to pay attention to them. Is it something emotionally going on with me? Is it something physical going on? Whatever the case may be.
Right.
A lot of times with stress, I notice I would break out in a rash,
Mhm.
and like, what is going on? Oh, okay, the stress in my life.
Exactly.
But it's really just paying attention and really speaking out. We really have to, you know, um, kind of take control of our lives and speak for ourselves, because nobody else is going to do it, honestly. You really have to be an advocate for yourself. And, if you know you're feeling off, definitely say something, do something, contact somebody, reach out. Um, and that's the way that I kind of approach that in regards to the physical aspect.
Sure, yes. Listen, I always tell people that self awareness is key.
Yes.
I did not realize with my anxiety, it all started in my stomach.
Hmm.
And I would feel sick to my stomach. So when I would
Yes.
dread doing things, but back when I used to be a people pleaser,
Yes.
I would
Yes.
dread going into a situation or attending certain family functions with people that I didn't want to be around, right?
Right. Hmm.
And so I would feel sick to my stomach. And I
Yeah.
used to always wonder, like, where does this come from, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would get to the point where I would literally just feel so nauseous. And I had to learn that is my body's way of telling me, girl, stop, something ain't right.
Hmm.
Like, phone a friend, cancel. Just because you're invited doesn't mean you got to go, right?
Yes.
um,
Exactly.
so, yeah, so listening to our bodies is so important. Um, and now I know that some people may experience grief that is not just our own, right? Um, there's a such thing as like ancestral or a collective grief,
Yes.
right? You see
Hmm.
somebody else sad, so now you're sad.
Yes.
You
Absolutely.
know, these days you turn the news on. You cannot
Yes.
help but to be sad for
Hmm.
someone else. There's a mother or a
Yeah.
father or somebody on the news,
Hmm.
grieving. And so
Hmm.
our hearts go out to them. And
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes that kind of grief can be heavier because it feels connected to like a larger history or a
Yes.
shared experience, right?
Yes.
Being a minority, unfortunately, a lot of our experiences when it comes to like social media and the news
Hmm.
is in a negative light. And so we
Hmm.
have this shared grief,
Yes.
right? Like our
Yes.
culture, we have this shared grief going
Yes.
back to I don't even know when, right? Like I
Yeah.
can't
We
even
didn't.
tell you where it
We
began.
exactly. We can't even
We
tell
don't
you.
even know.
Right.
Um, but how can someone honor this collective grief while also
Hmm.
focusing on their personal healing and self care?
Um, I would definitely advise, um, honoring that part of you,
Hmm.
honoring what's going on, because it is part of your history or part of what you're feeling, whatever the case may be. You have to honor those moments, but also be able to have that balance, right? You got to be able to have that balance to know, okay, yes, I feel this. I'm grieving this. I understand. I sympathize, empathize, whatever the case may be, but also having that balance to know that it's not necessarily you going through it at this exact moment. You're
Absolutely.
just empathizing in regards to that person
Mhm.
and understanding. And I mean, you can sit in it for a moment, do some meditation, pray, whatever the case may be, just so you could have that moment of honoring what you're feeling. We should always
Absolutely.
honor ourselves and our feelings when we're going through something, whatever it may be. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, and I try to tell people all the time, your feelings are valid.
Yes.
Even though your feelings may not be valid to the next person, your feelings are valid because it matters to you. And so, we always have to make sure that we honor that. And so, if it's, let's say, the loss of a celebrity and you
Hmm.
grew up listening to that person,
Yes.
funny, when they pass on, a piece of you is gone because
Hmm.
you held on to that.
Yeah.
You were attached to that person.
Right.
Um, and so I think that, that whether it's like I said, your ancestors, where
Ancestors. Hmm.
grief has just been passed down,
Hmm.
or how they react to the grief has just been passed
Yes.
down. Like I think for me, it, I've always been a person who struggles with grief and
Yeah.
being supportive to someone else because I am just awkward when it comes to it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the more that I try to understand it is because I was kind of pushed or forced into going to funerals and things like that. But that is not the way that I see me honoring my loved one,
Right.
And so being forced into that, it made me withdraw even more. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And it made it where I didn't know how to actually grieve because I was so busy trying to grieve the way everyone else told me to. So we
Absolutely.
show up in our best dressed and,
Hmm.
we go here and
Yeah.
we cry and we sing, like we go through all of these things, but
Hmm.
none of those things have ever served me.
Right.
And I come home and I'm like, so now what? Because like y'all
Hmm.
had a plan, y'all had a
Hmm.
program, but y'all didn't tell me what to do. Where's the aftercare? You know?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, I am now, at age 46, learning that grief isn't always individual. And yet we still have to navigate through it, right?
Yes.
We've got to move on to, other aspects of it because with grief comes guilt,
Hmm.
right? It is so common for us to feel guilty about moving on or even just enjoying life after loss. And that's the aftercare that I feel like people don't talk about, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's also a key part where self care requires that we start to embrace joy and healing to realize that, yes, something or someone is gone. It has left us, right?
Mhm.
But there is still something here. There's something more that we are supposed to do as an individual with our time while we're here, right?
Yes.
Um, how how do we navigate that guilt and still prioritize our well-being?
That one is definitely a hard one.
Yeah.
Uh, that's very tough. Um, we can't. It's so hard because I know I did it, and I have there's 7 children, and navigating 7 different personalities, the way that they're grieving. Everybody's gone through it. Like I've
Right.
gone through the guilt, they've gone through the guilt, but it's all we always go right to the what if. What if I did it this way? What if I did it that way? And it's so hard to kind of get our mind to kind of turn that off. But it is just really about being aware and using our self-care techniques. And
Absolutely.
and it's just about how that shows up for you for the self-care. There could be various ways that you're doing that, and just knowing that we're all going to do it. You're not alone. We're all
Mhm.
doing the what if game. Even in just, losing somebody, losing a job, losing, a friendship, we always question ourselves. Like, did I handle this appropriate?
Yeah.
Was I too hard on that person? Was I too hard on myself? We do that what if game, and that guilt just kind of gets into us and everything. But we just have to remember that, every day is a new day,
Hmm.
and it's a lesson that we're learning from some of these things that we're going through. And we're
Right.
just going to continue to grow so we can get to a better version of ourselves. Because we all want a better version of ourselves. That's why we're all here. We're
Absolutely.
all looking for that purpose, and the fact that you are still here, you should still, if you want to go and enjoy a party one night and then you get home and you're crying, that's okay. That's the grief coming in waves, and it's
Yeah.
okay to celebrate yourself still because you are still here. So it's very important to do those self care techniques and everything in regards to yourself, because you have to continue on. And it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. Like, because you really just want whatever the case may be to still be the same. But that's not how we grow. That's not, how evolution works. So we really have to kind of just hone in and really take care of ourselves.
Yeah. And, that's such an important point. Grief doesn't need to hold us back from living. And, we can still honor our loved ones or respect the situation or the relationship that has passed now while nurturing ourselves.
Right.
And I think that's something that we all struggle with, finding that balance. But it's no different than the balance of being a parent, being a,
Mm-hmm.
a partner or a wife,
Yes.
a working mom, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
life is all about finding that balance. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about sacrificing what you love for what you have to do. It's figuring out how to do what you love while you do what you have to do, right?
Exactly.
And so when we talk about nurturing, there are so many tools out there for healing, right? When we talk
Yes.
about, we kind of blanket it all and say, oh, well, you just need self care. And people are like, okay, well, what is that? Well, self care
Right.
looks different for everybody. And
Yes.
the only way you're going to know is if you tap into what you like, what feeds
Mm-hmm.
your soul.
Right.
Um, and a big thing that I am always talking about is mindfulness and meditation, right? Those
Yes.
things are key because they allow you the opportunity to get to know yourself, to spend time with yourself. Because again, what works for me, it may work for you or it may not. It's
Right.
kind of, you got to go with it and try it out, see if you like this. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't, okay,
Yeah.
no harm, no foul. Put it down, try
Right.
something different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, thinking of mindfulness and meditation, are there any specific practices or techniques you found helpful in bringing you peace during such emotional times?
Absolutely. One of the things that I really love is definitely um, the I am affirmations,
Mhm.
and doing them in the mirror,
Mhm.
um, and really tapping into that. Um, and it really is just kind of, you got to build yourself back up. When you have a loss, you don't know where to go, you don't know where to start. And I really find and it started off very small for me, doing the I am meditation where you're saying, I am beautiful, I am loved, I am great, just repeating, write them down, whatever the case may be, whatever you feel like saying, or just let it flow. And if your tears are flowing as you're saying it,
Let it
even
go.
better. Just
Exactly.
let it go. But that's how I started it, and I love the water and I love showers. So
Mhm.
I would do a lot of listening to meditation when I was in my calm,
Mhm.
space, when I was, with myself. And a lot of people are afraid to spend time with themselves.
Mhm.
Whether, they feel like they have to, the fear of missing out on something if they're not, with this person or that person, or
Right.
just, discovering some things about themselves that they don't want to discover. But it is important to just recognize and be self-aware of those aspects within yourself and be able to self-manage them and be able to, move forward. Nobody's perfect. And it's always going to be that progress over perfection every day, you
Every
know,
day.
every day.
Yeah. No, and that's so funny you brought up like the affirmations in the water.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I was grieving the loss of my father,
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had so much on my plate to try to manage and try to show up for everyone else and things like that because for whatever reason I felt I took that on, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so because I took that job on, even though I'm the youngest, right? Everybody also then decided, oh, well, cool, she got it. Let's put it on
Right.
her, right? Because that's what
Yes.
they do. They like, well, you got it, have it then, right?
Yeah.
So I would give myself a grieving moment, and it was the shower. And my dad was on hospice care for a while, so even before things happened, I knew what was happening. And
Yes.
so I would be at the hospital, and then I'd come home every day to tap in with my husband and my son And then I was like, well, I'm going to take a shower. And so I would go get in the shower and I would stand there until I had no more tears left.
Yes.
And I would get out and dry off, get dressed, and walk back out the door like I had it all together again.
Yep.
But it became a routine. And that was self care for me. And I didn't realize it then. It's kind of one of those hindsight things where I
Yes.
look back and I'm like, I did care for me because I thought for so long that I didn't grieve because I didn't publicly grieve. I didn't go through the motions and, all of these things in front of everybody because I've never been one to really put on a show, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, those showers were probably the most therapeutic self
Yes.
care healing sessions that I've ever had.
Agreed. Agreed.
And, yeah, so I think that, you know, mindfulness and like that level of meditation, some people don't realize that shower cry. Oh, that was a mindful moment. That was
Mm-hmm.
meditation right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's such a powerful tool, especially when grief is all consuming.
Yes.
Um, and, another thing that I don't think people realize is grief has its own rhythm, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some days it's lighter. And
Yes.
other days, it feels like it's swallowing you whole. And you're like,
Whole.
I don't like this song. Turn the radio off. Like, I don't want to
Yes.
dance to that beat today.
Right. Right.
Um, can you talk about how we can embrace the different stages of grief without judgment?
Yes. So definitely, like you said, some days it just feels like it's swallowing you up. And, um, at this point, maybe you've returned back to work, right? And they're expecting you to do this, that, and the third. And you're afraid, like, to call out or whatever the case may be because they're judging you. Like, what's going on? She should be over this by now, right? It should be,
Right,
well, what's going on? Why can't she
right,
do this, that, and the third? Um,
exactly.
so you have to get into a space that you understand that this is your journey. It's not their journey. It's nobody else's journey. So in that moment, you can't manage and you need to go lay down or you need to just take a day and go to the movies, whatever the case may be. That is okay because this is your path. This is your journey and you're going to be able to get to where you need to get to by honoring those moments where you need to grieve and not really worry about the judgment that comes along with it. Because we'll get, honestly, we'll get nowhere if we're worried about the judgment. People are always going to say something.
Right,
There's always going to be somebody saying something about something you're doing. So, you know what?
exactly.
We're not going to worry about that.
Yeah,
Self care is really about you, it's about your path, your journey, where you're trying to get to, what you need to do for yourself, not anybody else. And we really can't take the time, no matter how hard it is, to care what other people are thinking in that moment.
hmm,
Because you're going to get stuck because at that point in time, you're worried about everybody else. You're putting everybody else first. And that's the opposite of what self care is. So you do
absolutely.
want to, kind of say in that moment, I'm going to be a little selfish and I'm going to take care of myself and I'm going to
Right.
do what I need to do. And regardless of the judgment that's put on it, this is what I need in this moment.
Exactly. And, through all of that, I hear acceptance, right? And
Yes.
the thing is, I think the problem is we always look towards other people to accept it. But really, the acceptance comes from us accepting that, hey, you know what? This is what it is. I didn't ask for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't do it. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Right.
It just is what it is, right?
Right. Right.
and and then the hardest part I think of acceptance is understanding that grief has its own timetable, and for us to you know trust that process. and
Hmm.
and that's probably, I think grief is one of the, if not the hardest process to
Yeah.
accept,
Yep.
because most of the time we don't get the why, you know what I mean? So it's like we don't know necessarily what to do, but we know
Yes.
we got to trust the process, right?
Exactly.
um, and so um, I think that the accepting that this is just what it is, and you don't have to like it, and if you don't like it, do something about it,
Yes.
right? I
Hmm.
think we get stuck in that I don't like this.
Hmm.
but we don't realize that we have the power to change. Maybe
Yep.
not get our desired outcome from before, because unfortunately what's done is done. That
Hmm.
relationship has ended, that job has ended, or
Right.
whatever the situation is that you're grieving. But now, what next? Okay,
What
this is
next?
what happened, this is where we are, but what next?
Hmm.
um so finally, for those of us who are still in the thick of grieving,
Yes.
what is one thing that you would tell someone who feels lost or disconnected from themselves in their process of grieving?
Give yourself some grace,
Mm,
and understand that this is your journey. There's no timeline. And like we said, it comes in wavelengths. So really give yourself grace and be okay with whatever process you're in, and just
yeah,
accept it in that moment. So if that moment you're feeling good that day and you're smiling, don't feel guilty about it. If you're feeling overwhelmed and you really can't do anything, that's okay. You
yeah.
know, just live every moment and accept every phase that you're going through, because this is your journey. So why not try to learn from it, grow from it, and
Hmm.
enjoy it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that reminds me, I just finished reading a book. I'm going to put
Mhm.
it up here on the screen for
Okay.
everyone.
Yes.
Um, Grief is Love. And
Yes.
this book, I, you listen, I am so awkward when it comes to grieving. And this is
Hmm.
an area that I am challenging myself to
Hmm.
learn to, I guess, cope with.
Yes.
I'm learning how to cope with it in ways that honors me, not what
Hmm.
everyone else, wants
Right.
me to do or tells me to do. And so I've had this book in my to be read list for
Hmm.
the longest. And I was like,
Right.
okay, I just got to do it, right? Like I've got to
Yes.
pick the book up. And I was so scared to. And then once I pulled this book up, when I say I feel like Marissa wrote this to me,
Yes. Okay.
the book itself, I'm gonna read the chapters, the titles of
Mhm.
the chapters.
Okay.
She gives you 10. It basically is like a 10-step formula to understanding that grief is love, right?
Hmm.
So chapter 1 is about permission, about giving yourself permission to grieve, right?
Hmm. Yes.
Chapter 2, safety, about how to feel safe and find safe spaces where you can grieve and process your emotions.
Yes.
Number 3, feel. Like
Wow.
no, nothing else needs to be said. Feel,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
Number 4, ask. You talked about that, asking for
Yes.
help, not being afraid to reach
Mhm.
out, even if your asking for help is, "Can you leave me alone,
Yes.
please?" And thank
Yes.
you, right?
You're right. Please and
Um,
thank you. Hmm.
Chapter 5, grace.
Uh-huh.
Show yourself grace.
Yes.
Show others grace, because one of the things that I had to realize was that while other people were showing up and they're running around trying to do for you,
Yeah.
it's because they don't know what to do, because you haven't
Right.
asked for them. So
Yes.
not only do you have to show yourself some grace, but like you also have to show them some grace too. I think about the steak, right?
Uh-huh.
You felt how you felt, but in the end, you're like, my bad.
Right.
You ain't even know who you were serving today. My
Yes.
bad. Uh,
Exactly.
Chapter 6 is about intimacy. And it is really just spending time with your feelings and your emotions, allowing yourself to have that good cry in the shower,
Hmm.
to meditate, to journal, things like that.
Yes.
Chapter 7 was care. And it goes into like the self care and how to show
Yes.
yourself that love. I
Yes.
love chapter 8. Chapter 8 is called And.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was just basically saying, okay, this happened. And so now what? Like, what are
Right.
we going to do
What's
next?
next? Yep.
Chapter 9 talks about legacy,
Hmm.
understanding that there's more in store for you and you have to go on.
Yes.
You have
Yes.
to
I love
figure
that one.
out what you're going to do next.
Yes.
And then chapter 10, of course, was love.
Hmm.
And so this book was so amazing. It took me, it's like a good 2 hour read.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
not anything that's really long, but I honestly recommend if someone is
Mm-hmm.
awkward like me
Right.
when it comes to the
Right.
grief process, this book is a
Yes.
really nice start.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put this up here just so you guys have the opportunity to see this. You can pick this up at your local bookstore. I grabbed the Kindle version from Amazon, but this is
Mm-hmm.
just a little description for you guys to be able to tap into that. I'll be sure to link
Right.
it here in the video.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so again, Queen, I thank you so much for joining us today. I
Absolutely.
want to give you an opportunity to um, tell the people how that they can connect with you.
Absolutely.
We'll be sure to link everything in the comments below as well. But let anyone know who wants to reach out to you, how
Yes.
they can do so.
Absolutely. Also, I want to say there is a book that I did read as well. It's called Day by Day, Dealing
Mhm.
with Grief. And I will send that information to you and we can link that in for them as well. Because that literally tells you day by day what you might be feeling and how to process it. And it's kind of like the same concept that you had as well, like the different chapters and everything, but it's
Mhm.
just like day by day. So that will be very helpful for anybody dealing with any type of grief. But definitely that helped me tremendously as well, getting through the grief process. As far as contacting me, I am on all social media platforms. JusDemi Life Coaching .com. My email is demi at justcoaching justcoaching.com as well. Um, and I also have a Discord as well. That's called Legendary Mindset. And within the Discord, we have um, different self care ideas, the grief process, and we also have a program called Safe Space as well, where if you don't feel like talking to somebody that you know, but you want to connect with somebody, we have that as well on our Legendary Mindset Discord. But everything will be linked, and you guys will be able to find me and reach out.
Absolutely. I thank you so much for joining us today to share your wisdom and your insight. I think healing overall is just a deeply personal journey.
Hmm.
And I think that you've provided us so many tools and strategies today on
Hmm.
how to navigate with grief and to do so with grace and self
Yes,
compassion.
yes. I
I,
thank you.
this was
This was
an
a
awesome
great
experience.
opportunity. This is a
Yeah,
great, yes, great conversation. And it helps
absolutely.
me in my healing process as we continue, as I continue to grow. So definitely, I enjoyed this tremendously and I thank you. I'm
Thank
so
you.
grateful to have met you and have you in my life.
Absolutely. Listen, I second that emotion.
Yes.
You know how I feel about you, girl. Okay,
Yes, exactly.
we're not gonna cry today.
Right.
But yes, I absolutely positively appreciate you and thank you for taking time out of your day
Mhm.
to be here for us and to share your story and your truth with everyone. Wow, that was such a powerful conversation today. I want to take a moment to thank our incredible guest, JusDemi, for sharing her wisdom, vulnerability, and insight into the journey of grief and healing. If you're listening to this and you're currently grieving, I want you to remember that grief is not something that you get over. It is something that you move through at your own pace, in your own way. Healing isn't about forgetting, it's about honoring your loss while still choosing to care for yourself in the process. Remember, self care isn't selfish, it's survival. It's giving yourself grace to rest, to breathe, and to heal in your own time. It's allowing yourself to feel the heartbreak while also creating space for love and light and joy to return when you're ready. If today's conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to take one small step towards self care, whether it's resting, journaling, or meditating, or simply just acknowledging your emotions without judgment. Remember, you're not alone. I want to say thank you for joining us. And if you've enjoyed our time together, be sure to give us a follow and subscribe to our channel so that way you never miss out on our latest content. If you wish to connect with JusDemi, Be sure to give her a follow on Instagram at JusDemi_life coaching. Or if you wish to gain access to her Discord, send her an email at demi@justdemilcoaching.llc. Now, don't forget to visit our website at theselfcareclub.org. There you can book your personalized one-on-one coaching session. We also have affirmative apparel and other motivational merch, as well as a treasure trove of free resources designed just for you. So whether you're looking to elevate your self-care game or you just need to find a little extra inspiration to get you through the day, know that we've got you covered. Be sure to check out our latest album, Universally Connected by Room2Breathe. This album was designed to add to a soundtrack of spiritual healing. Stay tuned after the podcast as we feature one of the tracks titled Renew My Mind. I thank each and every one of you for being a part of the Self-Care Club community, and I'm excited to connect with you all again soon. But until next time, I encourage you to keep breathing, stay positive, and remember that you will always be supported here at the Self-Care Club. Don't be afraid to take up space and make a little room for you to breathe. I pray that you all have an amazing day on purpose, filled with nothing but purpose, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Thank you.
I've been running circles in my head, fighting battles with the words I've said. Tired of the lies that hold me down. It's time to turn this all around. Looking in the mirror, I see the scars, but I know my healing starts with my heart. I'm letting go, I'm breaking free. God, your truth is what I need. I lift my eyes, let the shadows fade. Your love reminds me I'm beautifully made. You calm the storm that rages in my mind, revealing truth I've been longing to find. Renew my mind, restore my soul. Take these thoughts and make them whole. No more fear, no more doubt. Your love is all I'm about. Transform my heart, I'm ready to find the peace that comes when you renew my mind. Trading self-doubt for your perfect grace, I feel the sunlight on my face. No chains, no shame, I'm walking tall. Your voice has silenced them all, speaking life over every dream. Now I'm flowing in a steady stream. Your power moves, your spirit leads, planting truth like heaven seeds. Your light breaks through, chasing doubt away, renewing my strength with each word you say. I'm standing firm, I'm letting you lead. Your truth is the freedom my heart needs. Renew my mind, restore my soul. Take these thoughts and make them whole. No more fear, no more doubt. Your love is all I'm about. Transform my heart, I'm ready to find the peace that comes when you renew my mind. Every promise I believe, through your eyes I'm finally free. Casting worries to the waves, in your truth I'm unafraid. Let your presence fill my space, rewrite my story with your grace. I'm stepping forward, I'm alive. With you my spirit will thrive. Renew